Hello everyone, my name is Ezekiel and welcome back to our ITarian's Technical webinar. First of all, I would want to thank all of our attendees that joined us here today. We really appreciate your time and effort learning more about our platform, and we will do our very best to continue doing this webinar series regularly. Now, before we get started, I want to let you all know that the duration of this webinar should run for less than an hour. First half would be answering questions that came from the registration of all the attendees. Second half would be live Q&A. Your questions can be submitted using our GoToWebinar app. And if there are any questions that was not answered during this webinar session, we will have our representatives call you and schedule for a one-on-one live demonstration with our highly trained consultant engineers. All right, so I guess we can get started. The first question I got in here is, I have never had success with deploying agents via addt.exe program, even in my office lab environment. What is most likely the fix? All right, so for anyone that doesn't know, ADDT is the Auto Discovery and Deployment tool that you can get from the Tools menu. All right, so all the apps that you see here are free. And he was referring to the Auto Discovery and Deployment tool. So this is the tool that we use to easily deploy our applications to multiple computers at once. Okay, so there are 3 steps in here. I'm not really sure what was the exact issue, but in case that it is really a bug, we can send it over to support@itarian.com. So what I can do here right now is just to demonstrate how we should run this step by step. Okay, so I'm gonna run the Auto Discovery and Deployment tool here. All right, so this is the initial screen, and of course we will have to accept the end user license agreement. And as you can see on top, it says new deployment 1/3. So there are 3 steps to follow this. The first one is to choose your deployment package. Now, this Auto Discovery and Deployment tool is not exclusively made for ITarian applications, which means that you can deploy any applications you want for as long as that it is running in MSI, EXE, or MSD format. Okay. You can also specify command line parameters in here, like if you want to do a quiet installation. You can also use separate packages if you're trying to deploy an application with a separate package for 32 and 64-bit. Right. So moving forward, I'll have to select at least one in here. Now I can now click next. And then the second step is to choose my targeted network. So it'll be best if our devices is under an Active Directory network, but we all know that that is not always the case. So if we're going to try to deploy applications via home group or network address address range, we need to have a generic admin password. So what I normally suggest is to enable the hidden administrator and then set up a generic password. As for the Active Directory, it's very simple. You just have to use your admin credentials. And as soon as you hit next, it will just give you the list of the applications detected. And then from there, you can now select and then deploy. Okay. After the deployment, it will give you a quick report, which will show you in which device it was successful and it failed. Right. So that's just how you basically use the Auto Discovery and Deployment tool. If you follow the instructions correctly, it should, as per design, it should work. But if it's not, if it's consistently giving you errors, or of all the devices that you've selected, nothing has been successful, then I recommend you to send the support ticket to support@itarian.com. Okay, so let me close this one. let's move on now to the next question. The next question is, can we use our own PowerShell scripts, or do we have to request scripts to be written for us? Okay, so our procedures here in Endpoint Manager is being run by Python script. We currently do not support PowerShell script, but we can insert PowerShell script within a Python script. Okay, so if we go to our public library of scripts, which is in the scripts.itarian.com. Okay, we can search for the PowerShell script here. That will allow us to run PowerShell script with the use of our procedure. Okay, so we have this option here to run a PowerShell script. Okay, so for every script that you see in here, there are descriptions, especially for something like this that needs to edit something in the code, just like that. You will have to follow these instructions. Okay, we also have, especially for those procedures that is quite complicated, like wake on LAN. You will really have to check on the description first before getting the code and then putting it in our Endpoint Manager app. Okay. All right. And when it comes to the requests, it is not really mandatory in order for you to apply or to create your own procedure. Actually, you can write your own for as long as that you know how to code using the Python language. You can actually do that here. For example, let me just pull up a custom script here, just like this one. So let's just say this text area is empty. And we do not have, let's say we do not have wake on LAN script in our library, and you have to write it on your own. Then you just have to go to the view procedure tab, and then you click edit. Actually, this hasn't been able to fully load itself yet. Let me try to load the entire page. Alright, so here under the view procedure, as you can see, there is already a code in there, but let's say we just started from scratch and nothing is in here. This is where you type in your code. Okay, you can even make your own parameters like variables to set up in here. You just have to copy this or follow this syntax. Okay, alright, so that's pretty much for the scripting and the procedure. So let's move on to the next question. Next question is, how do we automatically update or upgrade the Endpoint Manager and client security? So I think he was referring here to the communication client and the endpoint security. So with regards to that, we will have to set that up in the profile. So let's go to my demo profile in here, and then we will find the updates. There you go. So this update section helps you set the frequency of the update for the communication client and for the client security. All right, and this is also where you can set up the update for the virus definition updates. Okay, so yeah, under communication client, there's where you can set the frequency for the update, and also for the Komodo client security, plus the other options like the reboot after the update. Okay. All right. So next is, what would be the best way to have an automated tune-up performed on endpoints? That's a good question. So we can actually do this different ways. Um, if we're going to do it by monitor, meaning it will be triggered by a specific event, like for example, we are trying to monitor low disk space. Okay, so if we know that there's only less than 5% left in our system drive, then we have to perform some actions. So that's kind of like um, an automated way to tune up or to clean up your machine. So in this case, I'm monitoring this specific event that when this happened, I'm going to run a system cleanup. Or maybe I can delete I can delete files and folders. I can delete temporary files for current users, and actually we can combine these procedures. All right. Let me just open up the procedures tab here. Let's say I want to have a combination of disk cleanup and disk defrag, both at the same time in one procedure. So what I'll have to do is I have to create a script procedure. I will call this cleanup and defrag. Now if I click create, I can now go to the view procedure, click edit. Now I can add existing procedure, look for the cleanup, system cleanup, add, and then I can add more on top of that, which is the defrag. All right. So yeah, basically we have two functions in one procedure right here. Okay. After hit save, another important thing when creating a procedure is that you have to uh, approve the script. Okay, so since I'm the one who created this and I'm logged in as the account admin, I have the option here to approve after I click ready to review. Okay, as soon as it's approved, I should not be able to run it to all of my endpoints, but if it's not approved, it will remain disabled. Okay, and also just a heads up on this, we can do this consolidation or compression of two or more scripts, but it depends on the script that you're trying to consolidate. It doesn't work to all types of script, like for example wake on LAN plus um, the defragmentation. Aside from it doesn't make sense. The functions are not or there are some certain functionalities that would not work. Okay. All right. So let's close this one out. Now the next question would be uh, patch management overview, best practice, build a patching process for a large company. Okay. So let's talk about the patch management first. Um, there are different ways where on how you can deploy patches to your machines. First one is of course by deploying it per device. So let's say I'm going to this machine right here and I'll have to go to the patch management, or actually I can just look for the patch status column. All right, and this green check mark, by the way, means that it is fully updated. Yellow mark means that there are optional updates, and this red X mark doesn't mean that there's an error. This means there is a critical update on this machine. Okay, so for example, this EA demo PC, I can just actually click on this link to bring me to the patch management right away. Okay, and then from here it will automatically filter what are the available updates for this machine. Okay, and then from here I can now just select all the patches and then click install patches. Okay, and in this page you will also see the third-party applications. For the third-party applications, you can install the latest version or update to a specific version. Okay, and to know if your third-party application is supported, you can go to the application store and the Windows application store. So these are the list of the applications, third-party applications that we currently support. Okay. With regards to the best practice, of course, most of the MSPs or administrators are doing the patches by schedule. To also, of course, perform the automation thing. So now this has to go to the procedures. Under the procedures, as you can see, if you click create, there's an option for us to create a patch and third-party patch procedure. Right. So let me pull a patch procedure in here. All right. So if you create one, you have to go first to the execution options, which is going to let you select the types of updates that you would want to deploy. Let's say I want to deploy all critical updates, security updates, all severity, and then that's it. Now I know this update or this type of updates will require a reboot, so I'll have to go to the restart control option and then warn about the reboot and let users postpone it. And then I put the message down here. Okay, so after that, I'm all good. In the schedule tab, this is not where I'm going to set up the schedule. This is just where I would see in which profile this procedure is applied. So basically, the procedure will be applied to the profile, and then the profile will be applied to the device. That's how it works. All right, so now let's go to the profile, and then to our demo profile. Let's go to the procedures tab. So from here, I can now click edit, click add, and look for the update, which is the script procedure, or I mean the patch procedure that I just made. I think that was called updates. Yeah, there you go. Okay, and then I can now set up the schedule, start date, schedule if it's daily, weekly, or monthly, the schedule time, and you can also run this procedure immediately when the profile is assigned to a new device, and skip procedure if the device is offline. If the device is offline and you did not check this, it is just going to be in pending until the computer starts up. Okay. All right, so that's for the scheduling. And another thing about the patch management I want to discuss is about the global deployment. So under the applications menu, we have the patch management in here. Okay, and then from here, you will see all the available updates for all of your managed devices. Now, if you would want to see the available patches for a specific company, you just have to select a company in here. Let's say we're looking for EA Technologies. So all the patches that is listed down here are for the devices under this company. If I click on the group, it will, of course, show me the updates available for the group. Okay, so now after we narrow down the list, we can now just select all of them and then install patches. If we have too many devices under one group, right now I only have few devices in here, so it's not going to be a very good example. But let's just assume that there's 10 devices where this is not installed, this particular security update. Okay, now I can just select on this or click on this button, will bring me to this page. If there's 10 where it is not installed, I can just select, and I just want to deploy it to 5 of them. Then I can just select those 5 devices where I want it to be installed, and then let the other unchecked, and then click install patch. So that is by installing multiple selected devices. Okay. So yeah, there are different ways you can do the patches. So I'm pretty sure that if there's any task that you will need to achieve in terms of patch management, you'll be able to do that here in ITarian. Okay. So let's move on to the next question. Automated scripts to deploy software and Windows updates. Actually, I think that was answered already. If it's specific software, we can go to the application store, Windows application store, and then from here, you don't have to do it by script. You can just go here, application store, but this is limited to to this list alone, because of course we cannot support all the third-party applications out there. Now if it's something, let's say you have a homegrown application that you would want to deploy, you can do it by going to the device list, select the device. Let's say this is the device that I want, and then I can just click install or update packages, then install custom MSI packages. But right now, this feature only support MSI. So again, the application has to be or the installer package should be in MSI, and it also has to be uploaded in a secured website. But you can actually just upload your MSI package to an online storage. It will immediately give you an HTTPS link. Okay. All right. So that's that. Now let's move on to the next one. What's the best way to give you feedback or suggestion for the platform? I like that question. So to communicate with us, or especially for feature request, I would suggest you to send an email to support@itarian.com, or if not, you can also go to our forum page, which is actually being monitored by our developers consistently. So there will be a chance that you will be able to talk to them if you post something in here. Okay, so again, this is accessible by going to this help button and then click forum. Okay. All right, so those are the best ways you can provide feedback and suggestion about ITarian. Okay, next, how does Komodo endpoint protection and security compare to other mainstream solution offerings such as Webroot, Secureanywhere? I honestly have not come across with Webroot and Secureanywhere. I mean, like a hands-on experience with these tools or with these security applications. But what I can tell you is that in the Komodo client security, what's unique is the containment technology. So just a quick description on how our endpoint security works. It is basically going to look for the unknown files. So it will as soon as you run an application, it will filter or it will cross-check it first to our virus definition updates and see if it's a good file or a bad file. If it's none of that, if it's none of that list, then it will go to the other layers of protection such as HIPS, firewall, virus scope. So if we go to our profile in here, you will see different layers in our default profile. So you will see there HIPS, antivirus. Antivirus is the first layer of defense where it tries to cross-match it in the virus definition updates. Then again, after this kicks in, it will go to the next step, which is firewall, virus scope, HIPS, and then it will go to the file rating, which is basing or cross-matching this file again to Valkyrie. Okay, so this is to avoid redundant scanning of a file. Okay, because if we don't have file rating, it's just going to resubmit the same file to Valkyrie over and over again. Okay, so we will have to have the file rating before it goes to Valkyrie. And actually, after file rating, it will not go straight to Valkyrie. It will go first to the containment. Now, the job of containment is to still allow you to work with the unknown application, because if that unknown application happens to be a good one, then it's stopping your productivity, and we don't want that. So what's happening is, we in the containment, we are still allowing you to use your application. Okay, and then while you're using the unknown application, this information is being sent to Valkyrie, so that Valkyrie will analyze the file whether it's good or bad. And then this Valkyrie will update the database in the file rating, so that the next time you run it, it will not be sent to the containment. Okay, so that's basically how our endpoint security works. And if you want to have a live demonstration with one of our consultant engineers about how it works, we can even show you like a live malware running in a virtual machine, and how the Komodo client security will stop it, and how Komodo client security will react. Okay, so you can also request for a live one-on-one demonstration about that. Okay, all right, so moving on to the next question. um, I don't think we are using the software to the fullest. Not actually a question, but like what I said earlier, if you have any questions, if you have doubts that you're not able to maximize the full potential of the platform, you can always request for a demonstration with our representatives that's going to call you after this. Okay. Um, Next, is there a way to create reports that I can pull regularly? Of course. So in the ITarian main page, you can go to the reports menu. Okay, and then from here you can click new report, select the report type if you want to generate, let's say, manage devices report, new, manage, then the date range. Right, and then the good thing about this is we can email this report to someone and set it up by schedule. Okay, and this is in the ITarian level. The format of the reports that you will see here is in this format. It's very summarized. Very you won't see too much in here because I don't have too much devices enrolled. But basically, this is the format. You can also change the logo by going to the management account and then set up the logo here. Okay. But of course, if you want to get a detailed report, basically not with the graphs and all, like a spreadsheet type of report, we can get it directly from the application, right? For example, let's go to the service desk. Okay, so we want to generate ticket reports. Let's go to the admin panel. And then we have here the reports. Now I can generate reports of the tickets, and then from here I can select the filters to generate the report that I wanted. Let's say I want to generate a report for CE ITarian. Click go, and it will bring me the results down here. Okay, actually let's select all to give me more results. There you go. Okay, so you can export this to a CSV or a PDF format, or you can also schedule this. All right, so you can just click on this button and there's scheduled reports, and then you will choose your filters, the frequency, the time when it will be delivered, the file type, custom fields if there are any custom fields that you want, and then the period and the recipients. So these are your technicians here. Okay, so after that, after you do all that, then we can just click save, and then it will just send the reports to you automatically. Depends on the date that you set. Okay, and you can also do that in other applications like in Endpoint Manager, in CRM, uh, but not with all the applications. There are reports for some other applications, but right now we're focused on the reports we generate for Endpoint Manager, Service Desk, and Service Desk. Okay, so let's go on to the next one, and this is probably going to be the last one. Um, can I disable the built-in forms? How to make custom columns that will get into from fields into custom forms. I really didn't understand, but I think it's about the forms that he was asking. So um, since I'm already here in the service desk, under manage menu, still I'm under the admin panel. I can go to the forms. Okay, and then from here, um, under ticket details, this ticket details is what actually reflects in your help desk portal. So this is my help desk portal. You should have your own subdomain of your help desk portal. Now, if you visit this, this page is actually customizable. You can change the logo, you can change the title and the body of the message. And this ticket details form in here is referring to this. Okay, so now you see there's a new field down there. I can actually remove that here, or I can add new. Okay, or let's say in this one I'm gonna make this as a required field. So if I click save changes, I go here, I refresh. There you go. So as you can see, there's an asterisk right now, which means this is a required field. Okay, and when it comes to the category, we can actually add more information in here. Depends on the category that they select. So let's say they selected report a problem, they select asset issue. You see down there, there are new set of information that are being asked. Okay, so to do this, you will have to go to the ticket categories. As you can see, it appeared when I selected the asset issue. But I started with the report a problem. So in the asset issue category, I selected report a problem as the parent category. So as soon as I select the report a problem, it's gonna give me the asset issue as a secondary option. Okay. Now, under the new ticket option, we should choose the custom firm, and from here I selected the asset information, which you can also make your own. Under the still under the forms, under manage forms. Um, from here you see there's the asset information, but you can also create your own custom form. Okay, so let's say you're looking for license keys, or whatever you need in here. Okay. Um, so yeah, that's pretty much about ticket categories. So whenever your client or your end user goes here and they're trying to report a problem and you need specific set of information, then you can go to the custom form, make your own form, and then call it when this category is selected. Okay, so yep, I can still see a lot of questions in here right now, but as I mentioned earlier, we will have to have our representatives call you for this so that we can just schedule you with our live or with our consultant engineers for a live demonstration. And we will try to accommodate all the questions that was sent out right now in our question box for the live Q&A. All right. Actually, I just checked the questions box and I thought that there was a lot of questions, but most of the entries I see here were people that was not able to hear the audio. I really do apologize for anyone that is still here right now that is still having audio issues. Rest assured, we are going to upload this video somewhere and we're going to send you the link so that you can rewatch this webinar session. So let's go for the first question we got in here. So is the feature remote control for Android devices be available? Yes, actually this is already in the roadmap. We just can't provide specific date when this is going to be available, but for sure that this is already in the roadmap, and also the remote control access for other operating systems. Um, if you want to get an email notification when this feature becomes available, you can also email support@itarian.com so that they can just send you an automated notification when this is in the ITarian platform. Okay, so next question I have here, this is quite long. How to connect and how to blank screen in remote control. Yeah, we do not have an option right now in remote control to blank the screen. I'm not really sure what that is for, but yeah, we don't have an option like that. Um, Next is how to connect to a PC that already has a connection to it. Um, Connect to a PC. So what we need to do is to first go to Endpoint Manager. Okay, and then now we go to the device list. And then from here, if I want to remotely connect to this device, for example, I can just select that and then click remote control. This is just basically going to launch your remote control console. If you don't have the remote control console, it will give you the link where to download it. Okay, but this is how it looks like. Okay. Apologies for the update. I was not able to download it, but there were just some enhancement with the performance and stuff. Um, but the interface is just completely the same. Okay, so here's the main screen for the remote control console. Uh, it's very easy to connect. You just have to hover your mouse to the device and then click this button right here. The other button is to share files. So click on that. It will give us another window where we can get the files from the remote computer. Okay, so it's very straightforward. You can delete, rename a folder. You can move a folder from one machine to another, and yeah, just like a Windows Explorer, basically. We also have other tools here in the portal where you can run a file explorer or like a Windows Explorer and the process explorer, which is like a task manager. So like any other task manager, we are allowed here to end the running process, to kill a task, but you know, this is completely web-based. Still trying to connect. While I'm waiting for that, how to lock keyboard and mouse. We currently do not have that. How to troubleshoot my computer is having trouble maintaining connection when internet is fine.
Uh, I'm not really sure what they mean by this, but okay, let me check the other question. If file transfer can select multiple items or only one by one? Yes, you can. Sometimes map drives show on remote side. Okay. I think this question requires a consultant engineer with you so that you can share a screen with him and then you can do a live uh, meeting session so that we can address these concerns. Okay. Um, so going back to the processes or the process explorer, as I mentioned earlier, it's like a task manager, so we can select a process in here and the running process. You can also select this real-time auto update. In the file explorer is, as I mentioned earlier, is like a Windows Explorer, where you can create new folder, rename the file, delete the file, upload, download, and so on. Okay. Um, Now moving on to the next question. Where can we find the list of supported operating system? So that is just under the settings and then support. So this is where you will see the supported device platforms for Android, iOS, macOS, Windows Workstations, Windows Server, Linux, and the specific version of Linux. Uh, last, no, not the last one, but I have deployed EDR and have issues with it blocking Acrobat. Okay, well, EDR is actually a Komodo product. Um, Whoever showed you how the EDR works before, I'm pretty sure that there's someone that made a POC meeting with you about this. So try to get in touch with them so that he can address all your concerns about Komodo EDR. Okay. Next, how to completely exclude the path from being scanned at all, from file rating as well. Thank you. Okay, so what we need to do here is to go to the profile. And as I mentioned earlier, there are multiple layers of protection in the endpoint security and in the antivirus. Go here. And then we can go to the exclusions, specify the path and the application path in here. But what I strongly suggest is for you to create a variable. Okay, so we will have to go to the system templates. Then go to the file group variables tab, and then from here we can create our own variable. Okay. So just like this, we'll try to create a new one called whitelist. So for example, this whitelist, I want to whitelist C/new folder. Okay, and then now if I go back to the antivirus, go to the excluded groups, click add. I should be able to see the whitelist in here. If not, I'm gonna have to refresh the page because I did it on the other tab. So we go back to antivirus, exclusions, exclude groups, whitelist. There we go. So this means that any application or any file path that I specify here will be uh, whitelisted. Actually, it depends on the action that you're going to take. So, like for this one, I'm making an exclusion. But for other layers of protection, like for instance, containment, I can make specific actions for those variables. So, like under the rules, add rule, I want to block anything that comes from that folder. So I go to the criteria, edit, file groups, and then choose my variable right there. Okay, so yep. As for the file rating, we actually do not have control over the database or the list of applications that is on here. But what you can do is under the security subsystems, you can go to the application control. Those applications that are detected will be sent here, and it will show you the komodo rating. It will tell you if the file has been trusted or not. Now, if it's a homegrown application and you know that this is a good application but it is being detected by file rating or by Komodo basically as a malware, then you can just go here and then select the file and then change your rating to trusted. Okay. So this Komodo rating will, or I mean, the Komodo rating will still be the same, but the admin rating will overrule the Komodo rating. Okay, so for instance, this one is malicious. Okay, so I'm just going to select this file, and then I'm going to make it as trusted. And as you can see right now, the Komodo rating is still malicious, but the admin rating switched to trusted. And again, the admin rating is overruling the Komodo rating. So in this case, the next time I run this malware into my machine, it will be able to run outside the containment because file rating will trust this file. Okay, so just to answer the question, if anyone wonders why I have malware in here, because I'm doing live demonstration of how malware works on virtual machines, and we're testing it out. We're showing how this works and how the endpoint security reacts. Okay. All right. So yeah, that's all the question that I got here. And I thank you so much for your time. And if ever that you want to have a one-on-one live demonstration or meeting session with our consultant engineers, please let us know. Again, our representatives will call you, and you can just schedule a one-on-one meeting with our consultant engineers. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, and have a good day. See you again soon.